Bookish Babes, and welcome to my book nook. For those that are new around here, my name's Rainy. I read a lot of different books of all different types of genres, from thriller and horror to romance to fantasy, all different types. So if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe to my channel down below and follow me on all social media handles at rainybluereads. It really helps my channel grow. In today's video, I am finally going to be posting my spooky, fantastic October TBR. I'm participating in a couple of readathons. I'm reading a lot of spooky reads. I probably have a very overly ambitious TBR, as one always does, but you know what? We're just going to roll with it. And we're going to start with the readathons that I'm doing. I am participating in Spookoplathon from Becca, from Becca's Books. I will put her video down below so that you can join us too. So I'm going to be rolling some stuff and talking about this in a minute. I am vaguely participating in Haileyween by Bree. I do not know what books I'm reading yet just for that, but I plan on participating in some form because I definitely want to be doing that. And then I'm also participating in Haileyween, which is hosted by Haley Hughes. I love that so very much. And then I'm participating in Smuttober, which is by my friends Brittany, Neva, and Crystal, but like I'm also vaguely participating in that because a lot of the books that I read are going to be smutty anyway, so kind of works out. Okay, but let's talk about other spooky stuff I'm reading as well. So we're going to start with Spookoplathon. So this is a board game that is based around Monopoly that Becca always does, and this time she made it spooky, so there's like spooky different things you can land on in here. And so I chose to do 5 rolls to make my TBR, but anytime you roll a double, you have to add a book, and I'm pretty sure I rolled 2 doubles, so I have 7 books that I have to read for Spookoplathon. And so we're going to dip back and forth now between my rolls and the book that I chose so that you can see what my lofty TBR is going to be for this. So let's get started. Editing Rainy here to say, I didn't even say that like I'm not doing my friend's TBR game this month, but I'm not. Why? Because I'm participating in a bunch of other readathons. I want to read all spooky books. These are not spooky books on my TBR because these are books that I want to read, but I don't want to read them in October. So the good thing about my game is that I can pick up my game whenever I want to, and since it doesn't match with the theme of what I'm trying to read from right now, I can just skip it and come back to it next month. Although next month, because of this announcement I'm making soon, I might not get to my TBR next month either, but we're going to try, okay? But for now, I'm skipping it. We're going to be using Spookoplathon and all the other readathons for October, and we're just going to rock and roll with it, okay? Okay. Okay, so the first space I landed was on purple, which means that I have to read a book with a mostly purple cover. And I feel like this is debatable, but I'm going to say that this is purple. You could say that this is blue, but I'm going to say that it's purple. And that is Truly Devious, the first book in the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. I started this book like 3 years ago, and it wasn't even that it was bad. I just let it go because like I wasn't reading fully at the time. But I feel like this is the perfect season, perfect time of year to crack into this book. And I have the whole series, so I might as well start it by now. So anyway, this one is about this famous private school in Vermont that is for the best and brightest students around, for rich kids basically. And then when the headmaster's wife and daughter were kidnapped, the only clue was this riddle about murder signed with this pseudonym called Truly Devious, and their disappearance became one of the greatest unsolved crimes. So then a couple years later, you have Stevie Bell, this new girl that's set to begin her first year there, and she's determined to solve it, and of course, like, stuff goes crazy, Truly Devious makes a return, all that sort of stuff. So I'm excited to read this, and I just saw that I have the 4th book on the shelf, and that is actually purple, which makes me think this is blue, but I already said I'm reading this, so we're gonna go with it. But yeah, I'm excited to get to this. So let's see what my next roll will be. Okay, so the next role that I had was Mary Shelley, and it said that basically she was the queen of sci-fi. She was like one of the first horror authors to actually incorporate sci-fi and horror together. And so you could either read Frankenstein or a Mary Shelley book, or you could read a book that has like sci-fi elements. And so I decided to go with a book that I've had on my TBR on and off for like the last 2 months, and I finally just need to commit to it already, and it's very sci-fi, and that is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. So I'm a little scared to read this book because I don't fully understand it in the first 30-ish pages. But you know what? I know that it's like a beloved favorite and that people are just vibing with it, so I need to give it another try. And it doesn't say a lot about what it's about. It just says, his wife taken, his people enslaved, driven by a longing for justice and the memory of lost love, Darrow will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if he must become one of them to do so. For the first time, Red will rise. Also, I just saw the author the other day, and he's a little cutie, and he wrote these books. I'm so impressed. So anyway, we are going to give this our best shot finally. On to roll 3. So the next one I got was Dice Roulette, and that's where I have to roll the die, and whatever numbers I get, I have to get a page count that like goes close to it. And so I rolled 2 for this, which was thank God, because I was really afraid that I was gonna have to read, like, if I got a 6 and a 6, a huge chunker book. My book just has to be as close to 124 pages as possible. And no, I did not go on my shelf and find every short novella of mine and go do that. I went with a book that I wanted to read that is 117 pages, and I think that's pretty dang close, and that is Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. This is her new short little novella. It says, there's a princess trapped in a tower. This isn't her story. Meet Toadling. On the day of her birth, she was stolen from her family by the fairies, but she grew up safe and loved in the warm waters of fairyland. Once an adult, though, the fae ask a favor of Toadling. Return to the human world and offer a blessing of protection to a newborn child. Simple, right? But nothing with fairies is ever simple. Centuries later, a knight approaches a towering wall of brambles where the thorns are as thick as your arm and as sharp as swords. He's heard there's a curse here that needs breaking, but it's a curse Toadling will do anything to uphold. This looks so cute. I am so excited to read this book. I've heard it's really cute. I also am just so impressed because I feel like T. Kingfisher just writes so many different types of books. Like, it's just, she has such a repertoire or a plethora of like different genres. So I'm going to read this for that. Thank goodness. And let's go to roll 4. Book 4 was Landing on Toffee, which is supposed to be like a sticky book. Basically a book that you don't think you're going to be able to put down. And I put it based off of a series that once I start the book, the ball just kind of gets rolling with it, and a book that I need to finish, and that is Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. This is the 3rd book in the Magnolia Park series. I love Magnolia Parks. I am more interested in their story than Daisy Hates. However, I did come to enjoy Daisy Hates at the end of her book. But yeah, I'm very excited to get to this. I was supposed to read this with my friend Kelsey, and I totally dropped the ball, and so she's way ahead of me in this series, which is funny, because me and Neva are the ones that recommended it to read it to her. But I'm not going to say much about it, because I can't, or it'll spoil the first 2 books, but this is following Magnolia and BJ, and I think they're getting one more story from Jessa Hastings coming out soon, so I definitely need to get onto this. Also, this is the original cover, and this is so much better. Like, who could even want the new covers compared to this? Like, let's be real. On to roll 5. Okay, so roll 5 was by Hannibal Lecter, and I'm pretty sure that the prompt just meant that you had to read something with a body part in the title, and so I went with Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison, which I do own, but I don't know where it is right now, so I'll just pop a picture up on the screen. And I'm pretty sure that one is about a girl that gets bit by a dog or a wolf or something and is turning into a werewolf. I'm pretty sure. But I actually wanted to do a reading vlog anyway this month on reading Rachel Harrison books. So I'm like currently in the middle of reading Cackle. I'm going to read The Return. I'm probably going to read Black Sheep because that is the book club for Jan Agaton's book club that I'm in. So I'm probably going to read all of her books this month. But I'm definitely going to be adding Such Sharp Teeth, and I got that as a gift last year from a booktube exchange that we did at Christmas time through Haley Hughes Book Club. I hope we do that again because that was fun. But yeah, I'm going to read Such Sharp Teeth. Alright, on to roll 6.
I will send you into outer space and you'll knock it off.
So roll 6, as you saw, was Community Shelf, and I pulled a card and it said, make your husband choose a book off your TBR. And I forgot to ask him, and he is asleep with the baby, and I have to film this now. So you're just going to have to see in my wrap-up what book my husband chose for me. And it's going to be a good time. But right now, he did not choose, so we're going to move on past it and go to final roll number 7. Okay, so the final one was feed scroll. So I was supposed to go onto my feed. So I went on Instagram and just scroll, and whatever's like the first book that I see that I haven't read yet, I have to read. And I was just watching this back, I'm going to let you see it with me. And at first, I thought that it was Manacled because I didn't know what books that these are right now that are being covered. And the next thing I saw was Manacled. And I got really sad because I didn't want to read Manacled because that's like a 1,200 page book. However, I just realized that these books are the Throne of Glass series. And I'm actually in the middle of Throne of Glass series. So I'm going to grab the book that I'm supposed to be reading next for that. So instead of reading Manacled, thank baby Jesus, I'm going to be adding Crown of Midnight to my TBR. And this is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. And I'm not going to say anything about what it's about because that will ruin stuff. But I'm supposed to have already been on like book 4 or 5 at this point with my friends. But you know what? It is what it is. I've been very slow going in reading this series. I feel like this is a series I'm going to have to reread like and annotate. But right now I'm just taking my time with it. But I am enjoying it. Like every time, it's weird. It's like I don't want to read these books, but then every time I like actually read them, I'm really enjoying them. Like I don't know what the disconnect is there, but there is one. And so I'm going to add that to my TBR. So with the Spookoplathon, we have all of these plus Such Sharp Teeth and one that my husband picks that he has not chosen yet. So this is not that bad in retrospect. And now we're going to pop over to what I'm reading for Haileyween because my girl, Haley Hughes, I love her readathons and I'm very excited to get to do this readathon. It's only like a week long. I will post a video under here so that you can join us as well. But the books that she has a couple of prompts. And the first one is to read a horror classic. And I'm so excited that this was on there because I've been trying to find a way to read Dracula. I wanted to do a vampire vlog where I read Dracula and then I read a couple of vampire-esque books and see how they've like taken on what Dracula is and then how they've changed things. And I'm not entirely sure what vampire books I'm going to be reading for that vlog outside of Dracula. Actually, I know a couple, but I'm going to keep that a secret. But I'm so excited. I've never read Dracula and I cannot wait to finally read the classic. Scratch that. I literally just recorded a whole clip where I was talking about a book that I'm going to be reading that takes place on Halloween at some point, and I put Dark Harvest, but I'm not going to read Dark Harvest because I have a book right here in my hands, and that is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shay Earnshaw, because, as we know, they live in freaking Halloween Town, where every night is Halloween, even though they are visiting a different, town in this book, but they start off in Halloween. It literally says Halloween Town on page 2. So we're going to go with this. And so this one says, Sally Skellington is the officially newly minted Pumpkin Queen after a whirlwind courtship with her true love, Jack. Sally adores Jack with every inch of her fabric seams. If only she could say the same for her new role as Queen of Halloween Town. Cast into the spotlight and tasked with all sorts of queenly duties, Sally can't help wondering if she's traded her captivity under Dr. Finkelstein for a different albite gilded cage. But when Sally and Zero accidentally uncover a long hidden doorway to an ancient realm called Dreamtown, she unknowingly sets in motion a chain of sinister events that'll put her future as Pumpkin Queen and the future of Halloween Town itself in jeopardy. That sounds so good. I cannot wait to read this. I'm so excited that I got this and that this worked for the Halloween prompt. This is going to be fun. Then she has one that says read a movie and book adaptation and watch it as well. And so I plan on reading My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I feel like I've also had this on my TBR many a time over the years, but this is going to be the time that we finally read it. I don't know where my copy is. I'll put it up somewhere, but it's about a girl. She ends up getting possessed by a demon and her best friend has to help her get out of it. And it's set in like the 70s and it's very vintage and like classic horror and all that sort of stuff. So we are going to be reading it and I need to finish reading all my Grady Hendrix books because he is just not an author for me, yet I can't stop reading them. I can't help myself. I don't know what's wrong with me here. But it's fine. Alright, moving on. Then we have to read a spooky book by a BIPOC author, and this has been on my TBR since last year and I never read it, so I figured now's the time to read it, and that is Jackal by Erin E. Adams. And so this is a thriller, and it says it's about a young black girl that goes missing in the woods outside her white Rust Belt town, but she's not the first and she may not be the last. And so I've heard this kind of might have paranormal elements, I don't know, but the cover itself is stunning. And I know this is the debut of Erin E. Adams, and so I'm very excited to read this, and it will be so good, I'm sure. So I'm glad that this made it to the TBR. And then the last one, I don't know where my copies of these books are either, but it said read a queer horror novel or novella, and of course I'm going to read from the fabulous Eric LaRocca because I haven't read all of his books yet, and I'm probably going to read You've Lost a Lot of Blood or his other book, You Can Never Leave This Place, because I own both and I haven't read either one, so I'm definitely going to read one of his. He's fabulous. And so yeah, that's my little TBR. So between Eric LaRocca, Jackal, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, Dracula, and I'm missing one. Oh, and the Exorcism book. These are the books that I'm going to be adding on to my TBR for that. And then for Blackoween, I'm sure some of these probably fit But I'm also reading a couple other books. So we're just going to move past that. I'm not going to talk about book club books because honestly, I've decided like in all the book clubs and Patreons I'm in, like I'm never putting their books on my TBR. If I get to their book, great. This month I read Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney and I was reading that for Gabby's book club. But I didn't say that I was going to read that because like I can't promise I'm going to read that. So I'm not putting book club books on my TBR except for Black Sheep by Jan Agaton because I know I'm going to read that because I'm reading from Rachel Harris this month. Or Harrison. But that's all I'm going to say. So I'm not going to talk about those, but I am going to talk about a couple other books that I hope are on my TBR just because it's witchy time, it's spooky time, it's all the time, and I want to get to them. The first series that is not spooky, but I know I'm getting to because I'm doing a vlog on this because this is the whole reason I read the Caraval series in the beginning of the year because the new book is coming out at the end of the year, or at the end of this month, A Curse for True Love. I'm reading the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber, and yes, I bought the UK edition because it is way prettier, especially this edition. Like, look at this. This is stunning, okay? I bought this edition. So, I just know that this is about Evangeline, and she learns that the love of her life is about to marry another. She's desperate to stop the wedding, so she strikes a deal with Jax, the Prince of Hearts from Caraval, and in exchange for his help, he asks for 3 kisses to be given at the time and place of his choosing, but then, of course, like, that's gonna be crazy because that's the deal you're making with Jax. So, I'm excited to read this one. I'm also going to be reading the sequel, The Ballad of Never After, and then I'm going to be reading the finale, A Curse for True Love. So there will be a reading vlog coming for that, so I am planning on reading that in October. I also plan on finishing Powerless right now by Elsie Silver. I'm in the middle of it so that I can read Reckless by Elsie Silver, and then I can read Hopeless, which is coming out on the 13th, so I need to read these ones sooner than later. But this is part of the Chestnut Spring series, which I'm eating up and I am living and laughing and loving, having the best time with. And so this one is an accidental pregnancy trope. I think the last one, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's pretty age gappy because he's in the military and she's like the bartender or something. But I cannot wait. Like, beyond excited to read these series. And then there's so many other books that I want to read. Like I want to hopefully get to Slewfoot. I want to hopefully get to Once and Future Witches. But for sure, I want to get to The Nature of Witches and Wild as the Witch by Rachel Griffin because I read Bring Me Your Midnight, her newest book, and I'm obsessed with that. That's like my entire personality. It's going to be on my top 10 books, probably even top 5 books. Like I loved that book so much. I just loved it. And so I want to read both of these. And I know that this one has to do with more like nature elements. Like they maintain the climate, but their control's faltering as the atmosphere becomes more erratic. Well, actually, I really like this because all her books have to do with nature. Like this one is like the 4 elements. The Bring Me Your Midnight one was like purely the ocean. Wild is the Witch. It says, let's see, what is this one about? I don't know. It just has to talk about the garden, the wilderness. I don't know, but they're all very good. So I'm sure these are going to be just as good. Also, her book spines are always gorgeous. Like that is just beautiful. And then let's see this one because I forgot what it looked like. That's just beautiful. I'm just so excited. So I hopefully will get to these because I really, really like her as an author. And I'm hoping that these like slap just as hard as the other ones, but we shall see. And then I have lots of other spooky books on the TBR, so I've just got to get reading. It's October 1st. I've got to finish a book today. I also have to finish another vlog that I'm currently doing. So you know what? It's just a hot mess express over here. But I'm going to let you go. I'm going to film this or edit this so that I can put it up. And also, stay tuned because the next video should be a very exciting video. Actually, maybe not the next video. It was going to come out on Wednesday, but I might have to push it to next Sunday. But it's going to be a readathon that's coming your way in November, and it's going to be very, very excited. So stay tuned. It's going to be exciting. All right, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.